Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening, however you're listening to this program. I just heard on the news just 5 minutes ago that a person three people were injured at a gun show by gun pellets. Injured by a gun pellet. Now, folks, this is national news. In fact, I hope during the next news break, they hear that when I removed a Band-Aid from my thumb, it took some skin off and I bled for about 2 minutes. I want that to be on national news. In fact, yesterday, folks, news flash. Yesterday, I stubbed my toe, on the kitchen, in the kitchen cabinet. Has a sharp edge. And now it hurts. Please stay tuned for more important announcements. Have we lost our minds? Have we totally lost our minds? A gun pellet at a gun show. Folks, what we have to understand is that we do not live in a physical world. I know you find that difficult to believe or really understand. We do not live in a physical. We live by perception. Dogs. My dog lives in a physical world. He perceives nothing. Either the food is there or it's not. We go to dog park or we don't. Everything's black and white. But humans are different. We're a real strange creature. We are really different than any other animal on earth. In that we live by perception. Think about it. We watch a football game and we are rooting for a team of which we do not know one person on the team, have absolutely no affiliation whatsoever, and we get upset or we're ecstatically happy if they lose or win. That's all perception, folks. We live by perception. And our government understands that. They understand that whatever they say has to be perceived as something that is good for you because the government has provided it for you or to you. I know this is kind of early in the morning for me to be shouting into a microphone, but folks, I am so angry. This is no way to live. You figure that, people who are poor and wanting are usually relatively happy people. People who have too much, generally speaking, are kind of miserable. Now, I'm sort of in between. I don't have a lot. What I have, I like, I enjoy. And I'm not really wanting, I'll go home and there'll be food on the table, etc., stuff like that. I'll go stop for a cup of coffee, and I have enough money in my wallet to pay for the cup of coffee. So I'm not really wanting, but in a sense, I am miserable. Oh, by the way, I have a wonderful marriage and wonderful kids. But I'm angry all the time. It's as if my football team lost the Super Bowl and lost, and not only that, also lost every game during the season. I don't know how they got to the Super Bowl, but they did. And it's strange that I have this perception that of everything that's going on is wrong. Now, the reason why I'm that way, and so many people are sort of like in that metaphor of the Matrix, taking the blue pill versus the red pill, I, for some reason, decided to take the red pill. I said, no, I don't want to feed the machines. In the Matrix, if you take the blue pill, they literally take your body and they suck the energy out of your body to operate the machines. That's the whole metaphor behind the Matrix. And we look at it as science fiction. It is not science fiction. That, in fact, folks, it is not perception. That is reality. You see, the school system has one interest: to convert you to an obedient subject. for you to graduate so you can get a job and pay taxes and feed that which is controlling you. Now, I tell you, folks, the metaphor is perfect. Unfortunately, most of the people have taken the blue pill. It's easy. So you perceive everything being fine. In the Matrix, if you are hanging there and they're tubes into you and you're feeding the central government, you're happy. You walk the streets, you go to the store, you go dancing, you never get ill. You have no problems. You're perfectly happy. The people who have taken the red pill, they are miserable. They're the ones whose life's on the line constantly. The machines are always looking for them. There's always a search and destroy. Geez, search and destroy. Sounds like, hey guys in the studio, I got my whole entourage here today. Does that sound like drones to you, search and destroy?
I'd say so.
Yeah,
It's a little intimidating.
Yeah, a little intimidating, isn't it? All of a sudden we have drones flying over America for our safety, though. And they look a little different, but they are the same drones that are flying around trying to identify those who have taken the red pill. Now, folks, I'm not making this up so it's fun radio. I'm not doing this because it's fun. I'll be honest with you. I'm not having fun. I'm aggravated. I'm angry. I do this because maybe by venting over commercial radio and as well as the internet, maybe I can somehow find a solution to this. But folks, I have taken the red pill. And it ain't pretty. My wife has taken the red pill. Thank heavens, or else we probably wouldn't have much of a marriage. But most people that I know have taken the blue pill. Because you can hear them. They say, oh, Joe's a nice guy, but you know Joe. I hate that. You know him, Blue pill idiots. Now, you have a choice. Who you are listening to right now is not Joe Christian. Let me give you my title. My title is the quintessential iconoclastic anomaly in talk radio. Let me repeat that and write it down. Quintessential iconoclastic anomaly in talk radio. In other words, I am not going to talk about events. Say, well, Obama said this, and Mona said this, and Pelosi said that, and this didn't make sense, and that makes sense. Who cares? It would be the same as if those rebels, those people who have taken the red pill, had a news broadcast, and they talked about the machines that were after them, and said, well, do you know what they did today? Who cares? Folks, if there was a way to do this, I would ordain myself, personally I would ordain myself as a political exorcist. And in doing so, I would try to convert everyone to be a political exorcist. And you would have to exorcise all of the zombies that are walking around in the streets today. We would be zombie exorcists. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. This is not funny to me. It sounds funny, boy, that was pretty clever, Joe. No, I mean that. It's bothering me that I cannot turn on the television. The only thing I watch on television is Pastime and Pinks, the two drag racing programs. And sometimes something on the Animal Channel. My wife loves dogs. I cannot stomach the news. I cannot stomach any official speaking, because as soon as they start speaking, I know they are lying. There is no way to live. Now, I would feel better if we had a movement and there were a lot of people, misery loves company. And folks, do I need company? Is it time for a break? Let's take a break. I need a cup of coffee. You know, that people around here said, Joe, you've totally lost it. You're calling yourself a zombie exorcist. People are really they're going to be talking about you, and it ain't going to be nice.
Joe, can I just take
Sure,
the blue pill?
Darren, yeah.
Can I just take the blue pill? I mean, the red pill's driving me crazy, too.
Yeah, see, that's what happens. The blue pill is so easy. Much easier.
You go to sleep, you just get in your easy chair and just drop back.
Man, sounds good to me. Oh, that sounds great. I think I'm getting tired of this red pill stuff. I'm at a meeting. By the way, this is old hat, but I just found this this morning, in fact. It said, it was in my folder of things to talk about. This I didn't talk about, I guess, a couple of months ago. And it says, America Go Vote. It's a beautiful card. And actually, America, it's a thick paper, glossy, has the eagle, the American flag on it. Go, go, go. Now, this is what it says. Now, this is the indoctrination, folks. America, go vote, exclamation point. This is a great country, exclamation point. To keep it that way, we each have a role and part we must play. We must play, folks, a role we must play. I want that to be emblazoned into your brain, right? With the different opinions, we won't all agree who to elect, but thank God we are free. It's a poem, I guess, So make up your mind and go vote. Know what you believe. Now, believe now, folks. It says believe. Know what you believe and who you support. And who are the judges you want on the court. Ask the hard questions. Could you imagine asking a hard question? Could you imagine during the debate saying, by the way, Senator so-and-so, we have pictures here of you and your scribe at the motel. Tell me, what were you doing? Can you imagine asking hard questions? Could you imagine actually bringing up, now I'm being facetious, obviously, bringing up their record? You say, tell me, why did you vote against the American people on the NDAA or the Patriot Act? By the way, why are you persistent about killing innocent children in foreign countries at random? Could you please? That's a hard question. Not like, do you think you can help save jobs? Garbage like that. It says, ask the hard questions. Where was I? When I supported, I said, and who you would trust. Let your heart be your guide. Forget about using your brain. There's nothing in that about your brain. But it says, just go vote and believe. And my stance on believing. Those of you who have listened to me for some time now, you know the way I feel about believing. If you believe, you do not know. Now, please, I don't want to get into religion. I mean, believe in God, that's fine. That's wonderful. I applaud you. But when we say we believe, if my wife says, hey, honey, when we leave the house, did you lock the back door? And I'll be honest with you, I don't, I do things rotely. I don't remember. I go, honey, yeah, I believe I did. And what am I saying? I don't know. And the government wants you to believe that they are benevolent. And your only salvation, your only path to a better life is to follow their lead, L-E-A-D, their lead. That's sorrowful. Because a vast majority of the people do exactly that. I get criticized, Joe, you're not talking about events. Why are you always screaming about, yes, because the events are immaterial. Just think, listen to the news, and most of the events center around countries over 7,000 miles from here that have absolutely nothing to do with, we don't even trade with. And yet, we're sending troops because we are the world's policemen. Believe that, folks. Please believe that. We have been totally indoctrinated and zombieized.
Is zombieized a word?
I just made up that word, Jim. I get so angry, I'm sure I make up half the words. Remember, you are listening to the quintessential, iconoclastic anomaly in talk radio.
You need your own dictionary then.
Yeah, I can't spell those things. Don't ask me to. But I mean that. Every talk radio talk show host should be saying that. Should be speaking as I am and not talking about, well, did you hear what Sheriff so-and-so said about the shootings? That's not news. That's entertainment. Even when it's gruesome, it's entertainment. Let me give you an example. I tell you, the president gets in front of the camera signing his gun legislation. And who is behind him? Well, the cutest kids you ever seen in your life. I mean, we're talking Shirley Temple and people like that. You go nuts. You go, now, please. He's signing legislation. What are the kids? The kids could just walk into the White House. I'm going to go there. I'm going to talk to. I'm going to walk there and say, hey, I'm going to knock on the door. Say, yo, hey, it's Joe. It's Joe, America's quintessential, iconoclastic anomaly in talk radio, and supreme exorcist, political exorcist,
and zombieized.
And I'm going to be zombieizing your president. Right? Is he available? If not, I'll wait 5 minutes, but I'm a busy person. I'm not waiting any more than that. Could you imagine? Could you just think if you even tried to get into the White, other than a tour that you pay for, could you imagine going to the White House and asking to speak to anyone? You know what would happen? Let me tell you, folks. Don't want to bust your bubble, but what would happen was this. Nice gentleman, about 6'2", 6'3", pretty big shoulders, sporting heavy automatic weapons, more than 9 rounds in a clip, will come to the door, and ask you to leave. And if you don't, they will pick you up and throw you out, right? And at the same time, they'll get your identification and you'll be a marked person for the rest of your life. That's what would happen. That's reality. See, that's the red pill. The blue pill is this. Oh, our president cares. Oh, the children. My goodness gracious. Where have we gone? We have come such a long way. We've come a long way. You're right, we've come a long way. We've come from freedom and individuality. From all people taking the red pill to today, people taking the blue pill because it's easier, and I don't want to miss my next episode on television.
Hollywood. It's Hollywood, Joe.
It's Hollywood. That's right.
That's why they've got the kids there. It's Hollywood.
That's right. It's Hollywood. But now, what would be great? I would give television, I would give the network some cooties if, as he's signing it, they would play da 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 da, and you say, "Hey, folks, how you like this one? You're getting skunked again, right up the kazoo, and I hope you enjoy it." My goodness. Now, just think of that. So here he's with the kids and the caring. Oh, and the tears. Oh, the tears, The only time, I tell you, the only time I cry, the only time I cry is when I'm at my coffee shop and a hot chick walks in and she doesn't throw herself on me. Then I start crying. Don't tell my wife that, please. Don't mention that to my wife. Then I start.
I said I'd say not.
Oh, my wife's here. Excuse me.
See, you got yourself in trouble.
I'll tell you. Let's be honest. So what he does that. He talks about how he cares for the children and doesn't want to get shot and all this. And then he feeds the war on drugs, who recruit. These people recruit children to run drugs. That's okay because they make plenty of money on that, and you get it up to kazoo at the same time. Oh, my God. And then at the same time, folks, let's not forget, he loves playing with model airplanes. Yes, model airplanes. When I was young, I had a model airplane. And what you do is you turn the propeller, and it goes up in the air, always crashed. Every one of my model airplanes had one flight. There was takeoff, and that was the end of that. But he has model airplanes. But his are a little bit bigger than mine. Mine were about maybe 1.5 feet long if you got the big one, His are full-size model airplanes, and they usually don't crash. And They're remote control, just like I had when I was a kid. There's one little difference. Mine I did in my backyard or at the park. His, he has flying not only over the whole country, but in other countries of which we can't even spell and could not find on a map. And then he has these little cute little trap doors that open up and bombs fall out because they hit certain targets. It's target practice. It's fun. It's an arcade game. You see, our president loves arcade games. He's addicted. And they throw these bombs on people who they suspect is an Al-Qaeda operative. Can you imagine? Suspect. Now, can you imagine?
Everybody chose
Hey.
Al-Qaeda. This thing in Algiers, or wherever it was, it's Al-Qaeda.
I suspect everybody.
They suspect
I
there's
go
ties to Al-Qaeda. There's ties to Al-Qaeda everywhere.
You know what, let me be honest. My wife is here. I can say
I
this
think you
honestly.
have ties
from
to
my-
Al Qaeda.
I think so.
What's
I
that?
think
You have ties to Al Qaeda.
I'm related to
Oh,
an
yeah,
Al-Qaeda.
yeah. My cousin Al Qaeda, she's
Jeez.
crazy.
You crazy cousin.
Yeah, crazy Al Qaeda. And I tell you, we all have. It's amazing. Well, he drops these things. Now we suspect it. Now, I'll be honest with you. When I go to the coffee shop, I always suspect these beautiful young girls that come in, they want me. Now, honey, I hate to tell you that, but I suspect they all want me desperately. I'll be honest with you. Let's live a life of suspicion. We have.
You believe they are.
Oh, absolutely.
You believe they're
Yeah, we suspect it. So, so a guy could be walking down the street. He says, that guy thinks he's going to hurt me. I'm going to take my gun, boom, shoot him, right? Oh, go to court. You go, please, judge. That's okay. You kidding me? I suspected that this guy was going to do something bad. The judge would say, oh, Mr. Jones, I'm awfully sorry. We didn't know that. Innocent, next case. Now, you say to yourself, Joe, you're an idiot. And you're right, I am an idiot. I'm an idiot for taking the red pill. What I said is exactly what our government does. They have a suspected Al-Qaeda operative. Now, they not only think that they killed the operative, whatever an operative is, but they also kill numerous men, women, and totally innocent. Do you know people, when interviewed in that area, people have actually said, not only did they not dislike America, they didn't know what the United States was. They didn't even know what the term meant. You could have said gobbledygook. They said, I don't know that. I don't know what it is. And yet we are killing them. And at the same time, now his whole perception is we are killing the terrorists that are going to attack the United States. It's perception. We are signing this gun legislation that will keep our children safe, and you have the cute little Shirley Temples in the background. Perception. None, folks, none of this is reality. Taking the red pill will make you miserable. You will then be automatically ordained as a zombie exorcist, as a political exorcist, and on your way to be the iconoclastic anomaly that this country needs. Could we go to break now? I need a cup of coffee. If you ask folks, you're back with Liberty Talk Radio. I'm your host, Joe Cristiano. But if you asked somebody, why we're doing this, say, well, we got to get rid of them Al Qaeda guys, and his cousin, the Taliban man, and and then you ask them, you say, Al Qaeda. I said, yeah, I've heard that term on TV. Can you tell me what does that mean? What do you mean? What is Al Qaeda? What is it? Well, it's those terrorist guys who want to, they hate our freedom. That's why we gotta go over there and get rid of everyone. Well, how do you identify Al Qaeda guy? Well, they have a secret service, and we got a strong secret, and we go out there and we infiltrate. Right? They have no idea what they're talking about. None. Zero. Zilch. We don't even, in World War II, quite easy, by the way. You had tanks, for example. They had the German swastika or the cross on it. They're coming at you. They're firing. You didn't have to ask, well, could you please identify the enemy? Is he the people coming at you or the people behind you? Yeah, did not have to ask that question. I looked up on Wikipedia Al-Qaeda. It was several pages long. It goes back to before the Neanderthal man. And you can't tell me that all of a sudden they're there just to kill us, to terrorize us because they hate our freedom. If you believe that, folks, you are a zombie. Go seek out a zombie exorcist immediately. I have ordained several now in Tulsa and the surrounding area. In fact, I have ordained zombie terrorists as far as Colorado and as far east as Atlanta and as far south as Houston. They're out there. Seek a zombie exorcist. You need one. In fact, I think the abbreviation for Al-Qaeda is Al. They don't say Al-Qaeda, really. I mean, the news does, but they call them Al, I sold a few of my ties to my friend Al. I wonder if that's Al-Qaeda. I don't know. I wonder if all my friends named Al are really Al-Qaeda. I should report them to the government. I should be doing my responsibility as a citizen and reporting anyone with the name Al to Al-Qaeda, to the government, right?
You never know.
Sounds right to me. Folks, you see we have a problem. The separation of powers hasn't halted our decline at all. Nor has it allowed us to even adopt a budget. Could you imagine this well-run government and they cannot even agree on a budget?
You'd have to say no to somebody.
Yeah,
budget.
Isn't that amazing? That's right. You have to say no to something. You say, "Well, I wanna build an airport out there and where I am because I like little airplanes." Well, you got to say yes. You don't want to lose that vote. The greatest enemy to saving this country is a dysfunctional and corrupt political system. With this, the president maintains a 58% approval rating, folks. Ha-ha! A 58% approval. Could you imagine? They can't even say no to one another. We don't have a budget. We are in debt well beyond the $16.45 trillion that they talk. Well beyond that. In fact, Dr. Ketlikoff, in fact, he was on my program once, sharp guy, world-renowned economist, right? I think he's up at Boston College now. He did a calculation of what our real debt is. And this was 3 months ago. It was $211 trillion. And that included unfunded debts. That means you take all the income that they anticipate coming in over the next few years, plus all the expenses, we wind up with $211 trillion. That's the way my company has to do, its balance sheet. Now, tell me, who's got $211 trillion? You know who has it? Let me tell you. There's one person who has that. The Federal Reserve. Because all they do is punch it in, and you got $211 trillion within, was it nanoseconds? Within a nanosecond, you have $211 trillion. Up, pays everything off. Unfortunately, when you go buy a loaf of bread will cost you $54.
Doesn't pay everything off. I understand that Germany didn't get its gold out of the Federal Reserve.
I hadn't
I'm
even
so
heard of that.
glad you brought that up.
I heard they were supposed to. Right?
Yeah, they're
That's
asking
right.
for it.
Yeah, folks, now
And
listen
we
to the
said
irony
no.
here. Absolutely, listen to this. This is so beautiful.
Uh-oh.
Back in 1971, when we were in the middle of or the ending part of, I guess, of the...
Yeah, I hear Heil Hitler in this distance.
yeah, I got a bunch of clowns here. What can I tell you?
You opened up the mics, okay?
What does it say about me?
That's right.
What's that, Jim?
I said you open up the mics.
I know. When you
let the cow out, the
you
barn
work with a
doors
bunch
open,
of clowns. What do you expect? Anyway, but in 1971, we were mired in this Vietnam War, which was a hideous war. Hideous. I mean, it was an inhumane war, right? And we couldn't afford to pay for it. Now, we were on the gold standard on international trade with other countries. In other words, if they'd owe us money, they can be paid back in gold and stuff like that. But we didn't do it here. We didn't have the gold standard for individuals, only for international trade in 1971. France came by and said, I don't think you can pay this stuff off. You guys are too heavily in debt. Now, this is back in 1971. They said, we'd like to have our gold. They brought a ship to the New York harbor. We refused to give them the gold. And then Nixon took us off the International Exchange gold standard.
Really?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. I mean, that is so ugly. That is part of an ugly part of America. And I defy anyone to find that in a history book and tell the truth. Anyone.
Well, anybody that's gone to France has probably told.
Yeah,
they can figure it out. They don't like us.
But these suck faces, suck hards,
You wonder why,
really screwed the hell out of us. And I'm sure those words are not used in our history books. They'll say, "Oh, Nixon took us off the gold standard in '71," and then they go on to something else, and and it's all the perception that what we did was a good thing.
So what's the current excuse that they're giving Germany?
Aha! So Germany comes by and says, "Well, first of all, this is not money that you owe us. It's just our gold that is in Fort Knox. And by the way, most of it's in West Point, not Fort Knox, believe it or not. We would just like to take it back. We want to put our own banks. That has nothing to do with exchange. We just like to have our gold back." And guess what they're told? They're told back, well, yeah, we'll give it to you over the next 7 years. Think about that.
Well,
what do they say?
Why?
Ha-ha. Why? Good question. Well, if you don't have the gold, you have to buy it on the open market. If you buy it's 250 tons.
You mean they don't have the gold?
We don't know. 250 tons of gold. That's around, I think $13.7 billion or somewhere around there. If they don't have the gold, they have to buy it on the open market. If they buy it on the open market and it's deliverable within, let's say, a 7-week period where they can take sections for 7 weeks, right? What you would do to the price of gold, first of all, the price of gold would spike tremendously, right? Which means they would owe more, right? And they never catch up with that, right? And plus, the stature of the dollar would crater. In other words, everyone would say, "Aha! They don't even have the gold that they say that they have, that they're holding for other people." That would be a true monetary crisis. And now everyone's holding their breath because they're saying, maybe the gold that they say is not there. Or all of it's not there, right?
I mean, you can look at that up.
It's interesting. So here we are, 1971, revisited, right? Now, and remember, because everything is perception, the dollar, if you're a zombie, the dollar is as good as gold. Mm-hmm. The dollar is as good as gold. Isn't that beautiful?
That's a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah, it's great. I love it, I spoke with a fella from North Yemen at the coffee shop. A wonderful guy. Guy's an engineer. His wife's an MD. I mean, really wonderful person, And he did not know that our dollar was not backed by gold. I was really surprised. No, I was surprised. I thought, someone from there would be smarter than I was about this. And yet he didn't know. He says, it's not. I says, no, it's printed by a private cabal called the Federal Reserve, nothing to do with the government, and we buy our currency from them. And he looked at me like, you got to be nuts. That makes no sense. Really, makes no sense.
Who struck that deal?
He bought me a cup of coffee. He thought I was, I needed it to make the brain function. When do we go to break, Jim?
You got about another 3 minutes if you want.
Oh, okay, 3 minutes. Folks, in this 3 minutes, why don't you call me 855-866-1170, 855-866-1170. Let me hear from you. Right before break, we get one person in, and you can ask a question or even rant if you'd like.
Or you could zombieise them.
Yeah.
Maybe they even know where the gold is.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Maybe they can help me out. All right, don't be afraid to call. Come on, get your fingers on the dial, okay? Get your fingers on the dial. Because I used to give handsomely to the ACLU years ago because they really defended individual freedom. And they did. They went to court to help individual people fight the monarchy. And one day I looked up, I said, they never mentioned gun control. They mentioned anything but gun control. And then I read their position on gun control, and it was, our position is you should only own a gun if you belong to a militia, but a certified codified, militia. In other words, okayed by the government, And when I read that, I said, aha, they don't want citizens to own guns. And they have not received 1 penny from me since. They called me and said, what's happened? I said, your position on guns. I said, you want people to be free. I want the freedom to decide whether or not I can have a gun. And when people say, a friend of mine at the coffee shop, because I'm always there, he says, no one needs a automatic weapon. I said, who will decide what I need? No one decides what I need but me. I'm a free person. And you see, even friends of mine who sort of are on the program are actually thinking, well, I can understand that. The government must be right here. The government is never right because the government has never, ever once told the truth. If anyone knows if they told the truth, let me know. Here, we got a caller. Let's make this real quick. Can we take the caller? Okay. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Joe.
Hi.
How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling.
I just have one question to ask you. Why am I going to work on Sunday morning to work 12 hours a day, take care of my wife and 4 kids, and my money is going to somebody over in somewhere else because a storm blew their house down or messed up a store or messed up a subway or whatever. I don't agree with the money that they give in relief when we can't pay the bills that we've already got.
You've hit the nail on the head. Someone else is making decisions for us and then indoctrinating us with a perception that that's a good thing. We're our good people, and good people help others, or we fight bad people, so your money is well spent. I tell you, you should be sitting here and I should be driving to work. Really, I mean, you're exactly right. Why? Now, the question then becomes, why don't we do something about it? But what can we do about it? And maybe we have about another 10 or 15 minutes of the program. Let's start talking about it. If I asked you, well, what do you think we should do about it? What would be your answer?
My answer would be, I really don't know what to do about it because I don't know anybody that is that can be in a position to do something about it, that thinks like I think, that works every day and is taking the red pill.
Yeah, you're right.
There
you're
you go.
Absolutely correct. You see, it's overwhelming. You are just one person, and you can't do anything about it. We have to. What is your name first? What is your name?
My name's Brian.
Brian, thank you very much for calling Liberty Talk Radio. If you send me an email to comments@libertytalkradio.com, I'd be happy to send you a Liberty Talk Radio T-shirt. Don't forget your T-shirt size. We have to go to break, and thank you very much for calling in. All right, we're back, and I think we have. You want to take another call? Let's see. We have a caller. Is he ready to come on stream? Wait a second, folks. Don't go away. Okay, here we go. Caller, you're on the air. Your first name, please, and where you're calling from?
Ralph from Clarksville, Texas.
Okay, Texas, my favorite state. I used to live in Texas. What's on your mind?
Well, the reason I'm calling, I just heard the other gentleman respond, and what I think that we should do is if we all just stop paying our taxes until we have their undivided attention.
There you go.
Hallelujah, brother.
You have a lot of fans right here in the studio right now. Got the whole entourage. They're screaming and they yippee! You're right. Yeah, they're with you.
It takes all of us to just stop paying at one time. I just recently found out about a war that they had. Was it in Athens, Tennessee, where they were illegally doing voting, and the veterans there took over and went to the jail and blew the door open and the police came out and brought the voting boxes, and they took control. I never even heard that on TV before.
Oh, that's it. That
When,
is great.
when did that happen?
Yeah, when did that one go?
Gosh, I can't remember. You'll have to look it up on the War of Athens, Tennessee, and it was 1940 something.
Oh.
Through
okay.
there, I got an email from a friend of mine, and it had a video of it where they had made a Hollywood reproduction of it. But it was accurate to the time. And you know, another weird thing. Here we found that we have a president that doesn't even qualify to be a president from his last term because he is an illegal alien in our country. And we all know that. We all had this hope of him trying to
Right.
Somebody trying to get him out because he's not even qualified. And so we're saying, well, we're going to increase the qualifications. We're going to make the presidents be qualified before. I couldn't be the president. So why in the world was he qualified this time? Why didn't his disqualification of being an illegal alien the last time disqualify him for this time? And obviously the Illuminati has him in there for a reason to do exactly what he's doing. So I'm.
Yeah, I agree.
sorry.
He's just part of the system.
He's in there because they want him in.
Yeah, we have to move on. I want to thank you very much for calling Liberty Talk Radio. If you'll send me an email with your T-shirt size and a mailing address to comments@libertytalkradio.com, I'd love to send a fellow Texan, although I'm originally from New York City, a fellow Texan, a Liberty Talk Radio T-shirt. I want you to walk around and be a Liberty Talk Radio billboard for me. Would you do that?
Yes, sir, I will. And I'm terribly sorry we're in the condition that we're in. You know, maybe this is just the time for being in that condition, but I'm really disappointed in Americans for putting him back in there.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
If, in fact, they did with all the voting
If, in
laws.
fact, they
Right,
did.
that's a
the
good point.
question.
If they did. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
and fight the good fight. Thank you very much for calling. You know, he makes a good point. There are so many questions about this president, and none of them are getting answered. And every time you ask a question, you go, "Oh, that's a conspiracy thing. That's this." And let me tell you what we can do. I'll give you now. This is not a program where we're going to outline, what you should do, and and join this and join that. But let me give you an example, and I want you to think through. If in fact you come up with other examples or ideas, please send them to comments@libertytalkradio.com. We don't call in now because we're short on time. Comments@libertytalkradio.com, and everyone who writes in and says this is what we should do, that is practical, that we can do right now, please send me an email. Please do that. Let me give you one, and this is a very simple thing. When the TSA was formed and the airlines abdicated their responsibility and transferred it to the federal government, and now we have federal goons feeling everybody up when you get on an airplane, right? There's something that we can do. There's something very specific. Stop flying. I don't fly anymore. I went to Denver, picked up my son and my wife, and I picked up our son. In Stillwater, we drove. Crazy. But we said, we'll take the time off. We're not flying. Now, every once in a while, I have to fly. There's no option. I have to fly. And so maybe I fly once a year. Well, I used to fly 3 or 4 times a year. Now I refuse to. If everyone did that, the airline industry would go to its knees, and they should, for abdicating their responsibility. And what do you think is going to happen? That industry, and who makes Boeing, for example, the big government contractor, they're not going to make any more airplanes, or as many airplanes, because they're not flying anymore. So you have an industry, airline industry, even if 5% of the people stop flying, 5%, the airline industry would crater. They would go to Washington and say, you got to do something. People aren't flying. We know why they're not flying. It's because that stupid TSA, get the government out of the airline industry. They would do it overnight, because all the money would stop going to Congress, and then Boeing would go there, and all the industries that make parts for airplanes would say, hey, we're going under. We paid you $240,000 last year, to get into office, and we want some action from you guys. We're going under. See, we don't have to just give up altogether and stop voting and stop. Oh, and by the way, don't vote. That's another thing. Just don't vote. But when you think about it, there are many things we can do individually. Perfectly legal, nothing wrong with it. Don't fly, don't vote. You're right as an individual. Okay? Now, do we have another break coming up? No, we don't have enough. Okay.
No, we're getting ready to end the
Oh,
program.
yeah, listen, folks.
We've been zombieized
zombieized
again.
What's that, Jim?
I said we've been zombieized again.
Okay, but all right. Listen, you know you're a zombie if you listen to news influenced by political ideology. You know you're a zombie if you voted for the lesser of two evils. You know you're a zombie if you voted in the last presidential election with only a Republican and a Democrat on the ticket. You know you're a zombie when you believe that the terrorists crashed airliners into the World Trade Center towers because they hate our freedom. You're a zombie if you believe that flying drone aircraft over sovereign nations is our right as the world's police force. You're a zombie if you believe that our government has ever told the truth, nothing but the truth, so help them God. And this is the end of our program. Thank you very much for being on, listening to Liberty Talk Radio. And let me hear from you on your ideas on what we can do to change things around, like not flying and not voting. Thank you very much.